I'll record it now. Sorry, I wasn't recording that previous conversation we just had. I think it would have been relevant. But also, by the way, Tony, sometimes I forget to upload them to YouTube. And I get this feeling that nobody really wants me to. But if you want me to, and I haven't, please remind me. Say, oh, if you have the lectures from the last 2 or 3 lectures aren't up there, could you please post them, upload them, and I will. If I get you a reminder, I will. Okay, so for those of you on YouTube who are watching this, before I pressed record, I gave this little synopsis of the state of the current state as of in the year 2021, April, what the United States health insurance market landscape looked like. It's something in between a pure free market where these private companies are just making as much money as they can, and a public system where the government provides everything. We have something in between that's a remnant of Obamacare, which is the common colloquial term used for the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act of 2009, that is sort of a subsidized way to get health insurance from the government for people who wouldn't really want to get it from a private insurer, or maybe their job doesn't provide it. By the way, you will have some reading assignments for this section of the course, and those are available under course documents. They are, I think the last 2 ones I have posted. It's employer-based health insurance is another short article. And I think that would be a good one to read because it talks about how we got to where we are, where so many people's health insurance comes from their employers. I'm an example of that. I work at VCU. I don't pay out of pocket really for my health insurance. It's a benefit that I get from being a professor at VCU is health insurance. I do pay something for it, but it's, you know, like I pay 10% of it, and then 90% of it is paid by VCU and the Commonwealth of Virginia, who ultimately is VCU is a public school. So my point is, this article, and it's called Employer-Based Health Insurance, talks about why we got to this point where so many people's insurance are linked to their jobs. And what are some consequences of that? What are some of the bad things about it? Maybe there's some good things about it. There's some bad things about it. So if you read that, we'll be able to talk about that next class, I think. And if I have a quiz on this material, I might ask you something from that reading. And then there's another reading, which is a bit longer, but actually it's only 5 pages. And there's a lot of pictures on it, so it's not too long. But that's the one I want to address today. And that is a description of moral hazard and adverse selection. Have you guys already talked about this in maybe some of your other classes? Moral hazard and adverse selection? Most of you guys are, you know, like upper level econ majors. So probably in some of your other classes, you may have had one or both of these topics covered. Anybody willing to share with me if they've had this in any of their previous classes? I'll put it in the chat too, so you can see. Adverse, not averse, but adverse selection and moral hazard. This is how it's spelled. These are 2 concepts which are relevant anytime you're thinking about an insurance market. And that's what I want to go over today. I want to go over today, what's it like when you have people participating in a market for insurance? What does that even mean? It means there's some people who have something risky that could happen to them. And there's other people who have a bunch of money and can pay for whatever costs those people with the risk might incur. Anytime that happens, it's called an insurance market. So like for cars, if you want to drive a car, you have to buy insurance for your car. And which means if you do cause an accident and there's a bunch of damages you cause or are caused to your car, then this company, the insurance company, will pay for it. Sometimes it's completely. If it's comprehensive car insurance, it'll pay for everything. Or health insurance is another example where you might get sick, you may go to the hospital, and the hospital bill can be ridiculous, like thousands of dollars, $5,000 for 2 nights in a hospital where you had some anesthesiologist and you had an MRI and just like things that you were sort of normal. Like they didn't even ask you. You go to the hospital and they just wheel you to this room and like, okay, here's where you should sit for your CAT scan, and then here they wheel you somewhere else. And so I have some experience with this, and as an economist, it's like, it's so cringy. It's so, I don't like it because the prices are hidden. You don't know how much things cost. And in particular, there isn't like a discussion about whether or not you should do this thing. There's a protocol. Once you're admitted into a hospital, by law, they have to, because of liability reasons, they have to do all of these things just to make sure something really bad isn't happening to you. They have to follow these protocols of how to recover. You stay here for this amount of time in order to recover. You have to, etc. All of these things cost a lot of money. And if you were not insured, there was no like, okay, would you like to pay for this? That's not part of the thing. They just do it to you. And then you find yourself with a huge hospital bill. My point is, it kind of seems like you need some insurance for this. To sort of walk into this situation without insurance is a recipe for disaster. Now, if you never have to go to a hospital, great, you're lucky. Congratulations to you. Maybe you made the right decision being uninsured, but you got to admit there's some possibility, you're walking down the street and a car hits you and you got a broken arm or something. Bad things happen. Okay, so in this case, maybe an insurance market is a good thing, or at least better than having no insurance market. The people on Tuesday next week will talk about what if we remove the private insurance market and just say, okay, government should provide the healthcare, universal healthcare. Well, thanks, Philip. I'm sorry, I don't know what Econ 491 is. What's Econ 491?
It was a financial crisis class with Professor Lacker that I took last.
Oh, Jeff Lacker, yeah. He's like a bigwig. He's like the formerly the president of the Federal Reserve Bank of Richmond.
Yeah, well, the class was on the 2008-2009 financial crisis, and since he was
the president of, no, but I just mean like I mean, forgive me. I'm this is self-effacing, but like me, I'm just a nobody. I'm just an economics professor. But Jeff Lacker is a guy who was intricately involved with some of those decisions that were happening in 2008. Like he knows Ben Bernanke and Jerome Powell and gosh, who was the other?
It was a really cool class to take because he was talking about the financial crisis from personal.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm glad you got to take it, and I recommend anybody who's listening to take it because it's just an interesting perspective. It must be I've talked with him, like he's a nice guy. He like comes to our lunches and has chats, not in real life, but virtual. And so yeah, I've gotten to know him, and it's just an interesting perspective to hear from somebody who was actually there when all this stuff was happening and knows the people, uses their first names. It's like, oh yeah, sure, I know those guys.
The way moral hazard came up was with the financial crisis. Some of the corporate people that were making risky decisions were protected from those decisions. So the moral hazard was they had no reason to not take that risk because they were protected.
That's perfect. That's a great description of it, meaning that the hazard isn't moral in the sense that I'm going to take an immoral action. That's not what it means. It means it's almost a bad name for it because it makes you sound like these are people doing evil things. It's not that. It's that the incentives change when you're being insured. If for some reason I knew no matter what happens to me, anything bad that I do or cause will be taken care of, then it takes away my incentive to be very careful to make sure it doesn't happen in the first place. So some people think it definitely mattered for the financial crisis. In this class, or I say for this lecture, let's not necessarily talk about it in that context. And it's more of a reason to think about what will be the costs of insuring people if they're fully insured. Will they do more reckless things, and therefore it'd be more expensive to pay for them? So that's something to think about. Actually, I'm not going to talk about that today, but thank you for bringing it up. The other one is the one I want to talk about. Fablia, you gave me this direct message. It's okay if I say the whole class. She's asking about risk aversion. And of course, risk aversion is important for this lecture. It's not the same as adverse selection. So, right, risk aversion is not the same as adverse selection. So let's talk about adverse selection. Adverse selection has to do with what are the qualities or properties of a person who's willing to engage in some kind of behavior or transaction in a market. If you see that somebody is willing to buy a particular insurance package, does that say something about that type of person? If you see somebody is not willing to buy it, does that say something about that type of person? Let's think about smokers. People who smoke and have smoked their whole life, there is a higher, some of you may be smokers and maybe you choose to smoke and you're not ashamed of it. It's just, you think it's worth it. Well, the older you get and the longer you've smoked, the more likely you are to have very expensive health-related issues. Okay, so what? Well, if I'm an insurer, if I'm somebody who's paying for all of your healthcare expenses because I provide you with the insurance and you accepted it. Now, anything that happens to you, I have to pay for. If you're a smoker, that's bad for me. I don't want to insure smokers, do I? Being a smoker means you're going to be more expensive for me. I don't want to insure you. If you're a non-smoker, that means on average, you'll be less expensive to insure. And I would like to do that. One problem is though, you just can't ask people, are you a smoker or not? Because they would have incentive to lie. They would say, no, not smoker, in order to get the lower premiums. So I don't know. This could be an example of if you were a smoker and you knew you were going to have higher costs of insurance, you'd be more willing to accept the insurance at that price than somebody who wasn't. Maybe this isn't the greatest example because in your mind, if you're thinking of somebody who's a smoker, you might think they're already less cautious and therefore less likely to buy insurance. I don't know. But let's explore adverse selection on its own. Like right now, let's have an exploration of it. Here's what I would like to do. I would like to say, two of you in the class, I see like 18, 19 people here. Two of you are insurance companies, which means I need volunteers. Last time we had Mihak and Hala, I believe, were our two business owners. It'd be great if I could have two separate people willing to play this role of business owners, insurance companies.
I'll do it.
Have you done it before? I don't think you have, Joseph, right? Okay, so Joseph is going to be an insurance company. What does that mean? Lexi, fresh paper here. It means that Joseph and one other person, any other volunteers, somebody who's willing to be active in the chat, because I will ask you to make deals with people in the chat. Nick, you want to do it? So there's competition in this market in the sense that Nick might want to provide you with insurance, but so might Joseph. I could add a third person. Let's see, there's 19 people. Do we want to have 3 firms or just 2? If anybody's really anxious to be a firm, I could add a third firm here, but if not, we'll just stop at 2. Make it a duopoly instead of a triopoly. Is it called a triopoly? Nobody else? Two is enough. Okay, so that means and anybody else who wants to play will play the role of a person who might get sick. So how will you know whether you get sick? I will determine it randomly using Google Sheets. Google Sheets has a random number generator. And if you get sick, you lose 100. So 100, let's say dollars, units of wealth. So let me share this thing with you. This might not be that straightforward, but I think I can explain it. This is what I like to do. I'm an experimental economist. I like to run little experimental sessions. And I guess you guys have to bear with me on this stuff. Okay, so right now on the screen, you should see a description. It's not going to make necessarily a lot of sense yet, but let's look at this box here. In the 2 columns, which perhaps I want them to be highlighted bigger. Oh well. These represent the 2 types of consumers in the market. The people who might buy insurance, they can be either high risk or low risk consumers. What does it mean? Well, both of them start out with the wealth of 100. And if they do not get sick and they remain healthy, they'll end the game with this wealth of 100. And congratulations, you took a risk, you chose not to get insurance, and you kept your wealth of 100. And utility is actually what you should care about. And somebody mentioned risk aversion here. I'm going to assume that all consumers are risk averse in this game. I'm going to force you to be risk averse, even if you're not. And the reason is, I'm going to say that your utility function is the square root of your wealth. Okay, so utility equals the square root of wealth. This will be true no matter what. So this column here tells you what happens if you're healthy. If you're healthy, you get 100 wealth, you keep it, and your utility would be 10. What happens if you're sick? Well, if you're sick, you basically lose all of your wealth. You go from 100 to 0. What would your utility be? Your utility would be 0 because the square root of 0 is 0. Now, this is really important here. I might even highlight it or at least make it bigger. This is the probability of you getting sick. If you're a high-risk person, you have a 40% chance of getting sick. So if you choose to not get insurance, that means you're rolling the dice here. You're taking a 40% chance of getting a utility of 0 and a 40% chance of getting a utility of 10. Okay. Whereas if you're low risk, once again, you might have a utility of 0 or you might have a utility of 10, but it's only a 10% probability that you'll have the low utility and a 90% probability you have the high. And once again, here is what I would call the expected utility. We learned this earlier in the class, but expected utility is 10 times 0.6 plus 0 times, 10 times 0.6 plus 0 times 0.4. That's where these numbers come from. I also have this as expected utility given no insurance. But there's some good news for you because you can buy insurance. And if you do buy insurance, it will cost you whatever the premium you agree to. So all you have to do to buy insurance in this game is to make a deal with either Joseph or Nick and say, they can offer you a premium, or you could ask for a premium. I'm not going to regulate where the prices come from for the premiums, but let's say you agree to a premium of 20. Okay, 20. What does that mean? That means provider. What I have here, provider. That's if I wanted to change. I'm not gonna change. I'm gonna say. All right. So yeah. This profit isn't gonna make sense right now, so I'm not gonna talk about it. Let's have a bunch of premiums here, or I'm sorry about this. I want to maybe move it over here and then give myself more space. Okay, so here's a premium of 20. Let's start with like 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I'm going to give like a lot of different possible premiums. Okay, maybe you think someone would be willing to pay that much? 40? I don't think anyone would be willing to pay more than 40. Maybe they would. I shouldn't limit this. Like unlimited. Oh, it stopped at 40. Is that going to make it go? No, it's not going to make it go. Okay, 64. Maybe somebody's willing to pay a premium of 64. I doubt it, but it's possible. What is the insurance of the consumer if they pay this premium? All right, that if you're a consumer, so forget about Joseph and Nick right now. Everybody else needs to decide for themselves if they want to buy insurance. If you do buy insurance, what happens to you is you get the same utility no matter what. Whether or not you're healthy or sick, all of your costs are paid for. It's like having comprehensive car insurance. It doesn't matter what kind of a wreck you get into, all the costs are paid for you. It could be a moral hazard problem, but we're not modeling the moral hazard right now. This here is the square root. Okay, so this becomes your utility function. So what I've written here is if you're a consumer and you get a premium of 10, if Nick offers you a premium of 10 and you take it, then you no longer are playing a game where maybe you'll get this utility, maybe you won't. You will get this utility for certain, 9.4. And if you hire at 11, you'll get 9.4. You can see actually, you can almost guarantee yourself a utility of at least 8 or 9, can't you? I mean, if you want to, or 7 here, right? I mean, why is it 7? 100. Oh, that's 49. Yeah, 100 minus 51 is 49. Square root of 49 is 7. That makes sense. So I know I'm belaboring this point. The point is, whether or not you're high risk or low risk, so if you're a consumer, I will privately tell you whether you're high risk or low risk. And you are not allowed to tell this to Nick and Joseph. In fact, by the way, Nick and Joseph, if you do have somebody tell you, hey, I'm high risk, trust me, or sorry, I'm low risk, trust me, I'm low risk. You should give me a low premium because I'm low risk. You can't trust them, right? They have an incentive to lie to you. So even if you did try to break this rule and tell Nick or Joseph that you were low risk, they might not believe you. But each consumer will have a 50% chance of being a high risk person and a 50% chance of being a low risk person. If they are a low risk person, that means the cost to the insurer is only 10. Okay, so Nick, now I'm talking mostly to Nick and Joseph. The cost that you will pay for every person that you insure are either 10 or 40. If you insure a low risk person, you pay a cost of 10 and you gain the premium. So let's just look at this. Let's say this is the Joseph company. I'll put it here. This is Joseph. Do you want a name like Joseph Co., Joseph Inc.?
Co sounds good.
Co sounds good. Do you want to do Nick Incorporated? Okay, you're different. Here, I sort of want to merge these cells just better. I'm being very pedantic here. Merge cells. Okay, that's just aesthetic. Okay, so here is the Joseph Company like books that your accounting, I will keep your accounting for you. And let's say you hire someone, I'll put the names of your clients here. Someone want to volunteer to be a client? Philip, I see that you have your video on. And
Sure, I'll do it.
Okay, so let's say Philip decides to be insured by the Joseph Corporation, and they argue, they agree on a premium. Let's say whatever I say here is going to influence what you think it is. Give me a number between 10 and 40.
20.
20. Okay, 20 is in between. Joseph will know the probability 6, but I'm sorry. Philip will know the probability 6, but Joseph won't. I will reveal it at the end of the game. So let's say this is the end of the game. The probability of 6, let's say Joseph turned out to be, Philip turned out to be high risk, then I'll put a 0.4 here. Look what happened to Joseph's profit for Philip. It's negative 20. Do you see why it's negative 20? You paid, Philip paid you $20, but you had to lose $40 to insure him. You see that? You see that, Joseph? I guess I'm really talking to you, Joseph. This is your company.
Yeah, I see it, and I'm not too happy.
Okay, what if he happened to be 0.1?
I'm happy.
Then you would have earned money. Of course, you don't know if he's 0.1 or 0.4, but you will at the end of the game. You'll find out if he was 0.1 or 0.4. Whereas, Philip, you will already know if you're 0.1 or 0.4. Okay. Let's say somebody else. I'm just going to take like the next person on my list, Mihawk. Let's say you you insure Mihawk, and for her, it's a price of 45. And she turns out to be a high risk person. You still made money, okay? So if you charge at least a premium of 40 for anybody who's high risk, you'll still make money on them, okay? And if you charge a premium of at least 10 on anybody who's low risk, you'll make money on them. Notice that even for Mihawk, I think this is a good thing, isn't it? Let's now look at from Mihawk's perspective. What I have written here is the utility of the consumer. Mihawk, are you here, by the way? Pay attention.
Yeah, I'm here.
Do you see how your utility, if you take this premium of 45, let's say that you're high risk, so your risk is 0.4. If you accept this premium of 45, your utility is highlighted right here, 7.4. That's actually the points I will give you for this game. For playing this game, I'll give you some exercise points. And the points you will get if you're a consumer is just whatever your utility is. So that would be your points. Notice that's better than taking the expected. You know what? I almost feel like just giving you the expected utility so that you don't have to take the risk. How would you like that? I'll just give you the expected utility rather than randomizing it. You understand what I'm saying, Mihawk?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
But by the way, this isn't the real game. This is just an example. The
Yeah,
point I'm
yeah,
trying to make is, if Mihawk accepts a premium of 45, her utility is 7.4. If she doesn't, her utility is up here, would be 6. So actually, you're better off accepting this premium, even though it's pretty high. I think I said something like it'll never be above 60. I mean, I don't know how high it could get. It can get very high. I mean, let's see here. At some point though, this gets under 6, which would, there you go. It's actually 64, right? So let me help you out. You should definitely never take a premium above 64. Nobody should, because if you did, you'd be better off just being uninsured. Even the most high risk person should never accept a premium above 64. And how about a premium under 10? I don't think a premium should ever be under 10. Why? Because that is that's like the break-even point for the firm at low risk, and they'd be losing money for high risk, but they're breaking even for a low risk person, and they're losing money for high risk. So there's no reason to ever have a premium above 64 or below 10. That means somewhere in between, you could find something that's mutually beneficial for you guys. And I know I'm spending a lot of time explaining this game instead of just letting you play, but I want to emphasize that you could both be made better off by agreeing on some premium. Like here, this is the perfect example. Mihak, you're better off with this insurance because 7.4 is better than 6. But Joseph is better off too because he's making a profit of 5. So this premium of 45, it actually benefits both Mihak and Joseph. Same thing is true for Philip. His premium is lower. His premium is only 20. Oh shoot, wait a second. No insurance is 9. All right. About this. Oh, okay, wait a second. Yeah. I think I made it a little bit too good. Do you mind if I change? I want to change something. All I want to change is the probability of being sick for the low risk person. I think I made it too too low of a probability. Okay, so I'm sorry. I said it would be 0.4 and 0.1. I think I remember now some of the math involved. I don't want it to be that good. Let's do 0.4 and 0.2. Okay, so for somebody who's 0.2, now we can see there's a little bit more of yeah. I mean, there's no perfect way to do this, but how about 0.15? No, let's leave it 0.2. Let's leave it 0.2. So I will say, I'll say this 0.2. This premium of 20 is definitely good for Philip because he's getting a utility of 8.9 instead of 8. And it's no profit here in this case. So I would say like 25. 25 premium would be good for both parties. Philip is better off because 8.6 is higher than 8. Joseph is better off because he's still making a positive profit here. And at the end of the game, I'll just sum up your profits, and that will be your score for the Joseph company. And then I'll do the same for Nick. Anybody that gets hired with Nick, I'll put right here. Anybody, I say hired. Anybody that's insured with Nick, I'll write their names here. Anybody that's insured with Joseph, I'll write their names. But other than that, I think you're ready to go. We have missed an opportunity for Joko. Hey, we can always change it. We can always change it to Joko. I don't know if he likes to be called. Not everybody named Joseph likes to be called Joe. It's sort of a.
I'll go with that. Sounds good.
Okay, so do you guys have any questions? Anybody who's playing this, anybody who wants to play this game, have any questions over? Yeah, Nick.
How will the negotiation process work for premiums?
You can ask. You can just offer premiums to anybody. They can ask you. Yeah, and if somebody wants to claim they're high risk or something, you can believe them, but they might be lying. I don't mind if there's that sort of thing. So I would encourage anybody who's playing first to send a message to me. I will tell you if you're high risk or low risk. Then you will know if you're 0.4 or 0.2. Then you can start negotiating with Nick or Joseph for health insurance premium, which is a number between. So now that I've made this 0.2, actually, I think there's no reason to go below 20, right, guys? So you can sort of ignore these numbers. Okay, so the premium should be between 20 and 64, and you can negotiate that on your own. Or if you can't negotiate it, that's fine. You don't necessarily have to get insurance. We'll see what happens. But it is the case that for both a high risk and a low risk type, there can be mutually beneficial trade happening here. That's what I've just demonstrated here with Philip, who's low risk at a premium 25. It's mutually beneficial. Mihak at a price of 45 is mutually beneficial. So I want to see what happens in this market if it's just free to do its magic. So somebody tell me, okay, I have people playing. Okay, so let me write this down. Charlotte, Tony. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna direct message you back whether you're high or low. Okay. How do I direct message back somebody? Here we go. Okay. I think this is working. Once you have your type, high risk or low risk, you can start playing. So some of you, I'm sorry, you'll have to wait for me to send you your message. I think you should hope to be low risk. Low risk is better. But if you're high risk, I'm sorry, this is bad luck. But please start negotiating with your firms. And once you do, I'm going to delete this because this is old news. Tell me and oh gosh, I'm starting to lose this. Sorry, guys. This is slow. I'm trying to get you. I've got a method down. I'm not telling you my method, but it's a method. Something's wrong. Can't switch to Matt. Did you leave Matt? Oh yeah, Matt's not here. I can't give you a message, Matt, since you're not here. Does everyone have Lauren? Sorry, I think Lauren's last one. Sorry, Lauren. I think everyone has one now. Everyone has a risk, high risk or low risk. Who wants one? Sorry, Lauren, you shouldn't have taken so long. But I had a student who must have left or gotten kicked out, and that was. Has anybody agreed to a premium with either Nick or Joseph? We'll call it Joko if he's willing. You know what Joko makes me think of? The musician Jonathan Colton. Cool. He sometimes goes by Joko.
I just took 40 with Nick.
Who's that?
It's Charlotte.
Charlotte. Charlotte is willing to be insured by the Nick Incorporated at a premium of 40. Okay.
I also did 35 with Nick.
Who's this?
Christina.
Christina, 35. Okay. Okay, because he might lose money on you if you turned out to be high risk. He's going to lose $5 on you, but maybe you're not. Maybe you're low risk. Anybody else made deals? Maybe I shouldn't have told you this because you know what happens, the more information you get, the more the price gets narrowed down, right? The sort of most you'll take and the least you'll take is the most the highest price you would accept and the lowest price they would accept, it's often narrows. So maybe I shouldn't write this stuff down. And by the way, you don't have to accept a price, right? A premium. I want to allow people to be uninsured if they want to in this market. Any other deals? Talk to Nick, talk to Joe, Sif. Ask for insurance. Or Joseph and Nick, you could like, I don't know, post out a message to everybody if you want that say, hey, such and such premium, I'll accept. Or maybe you have to like prove something to them, like, I don't know, prove that they're smokers, non-smokers, and then you'll insure them. I could have added that element to the game, but that would have made it more complicated, wouldn't it have?
Nick and I just agreed for 33.
Nick is getting everybody. Philip will be insured at a premium of 33. Okay.
Crowding out the market, I'm doing a small but significant price increase. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Somebody want to help Joe out? He needs Joseph. He needs
Joseph,
some.
I just messaged you if you want to look at it.
What's the price? Miha, okay.
It's a premium now. You're trying to negotiate a premium. Has anybody tried to convince them that they're low risk? Joseph and Nick, has anybody like come to you and said, I'm low risk, you should give me a low premium?
Yeah,
No, but you can usually tell by their opening bid.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, if someone's gonna offer you like a low premium, you can assume that they're gonna be in a lower risk category.
Interesting. There's a lot of game theory that says that shouldn't happen, but maybe it does.
Playing off a conception of fairness, I guess.
Yeah, some idea of what's fair. I get that. Does anybody else want to be insured? Remember, I showed you how both types can be better off if they accept the right premium. Oh, do you want to see this? Here, look at this here. You can see for those of you who just want to see it's the square root, right? You can calculate it yourself. If somebody offers you a premium, take 100 minus that number and take the square root of it. That's what your payoff would be. And you should compare that to either 6 or 8. Because if you don't get insurance, which you're allowed to not get insurance, you'll either get 6 or 8. Okay? And everyone who's playing, in my opinion, is going to get some points for playing. And if you
sorry, 37 with Joseph.
Who's this?
Jacob.
Jacob, 37, Joseph. Gotcha.
I got 37 for Nick.
Who are you?
Fabliha.
37. Gotcha.
I got 34 with Joseph.
Oh, thanks, Mackenzie. I can tell that it's you because your name got yelled. 34. Gotcha.
I got 24 with Joseph. It's Nick.
Is this Mihak? Mihak, 24? 24?
Yeah, with Joseph.
24 or 34?
24, 24.
Wow, that is a cheap healthcare premium. Congratulations, Mihak. That's, he'll still be making $14 on you if you are, $4. He'll be making $4 on you if you are low risk. But if you're high risk, he's going to be losing $16 on you. Did you promise him that you were low risk? You said on my.
I just said that I'm a non-smoker and I'm in good health.
Yes.
I
You're,
did
you swear that you're low risk. Everything about you is low risk. You're not going to get sick. Okay.
25 with Nick.
Ooh, who said this? Paula.
Yes, 25.
Which company?
Nick.
25?
Yeah.
Paula. Okay. And once
I-
again, he's kind of taking a risk on you, right? You guys should know the insurance companies that I tried to make it about half and half high risk, half low risk, which means, you know, it'll cost you 20 for the low risk people and it'll cost you 40 for the high risk people. So just something to keep in mind.
I have 35 with Nick.
35 with Nick. Now I just need to know who you are.
This is Lauren.
I'm sorry, who?
This is Lauren.
Lauren.
Yes.
And what number? 35?
35, I think. Yes.
35. Lauren?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. What I should have been doing is writing down everyone's. I'll do this now. While anybody out there still want to get insurance who doesn't have it yet? Remember, it's okay if you don't.
Hello, it's Tony.
Who said this? Tony? What'd you get? What'd you get?
I have 25 with Joe.
Tony goes 25 with Joe. I feel like the insurance market premiums are lowering, aren't they? They started off around 40. Now they're getting down into the 20s. Or at least for some people. I mean, maybe they have some way of telling who's high risk and who's low risk. I just don't know.
I just did 34 with Nick.
Who said that? Dorian.
Dorian.
34, Nick. Is that right?
Yes.
How much time do you have? Okay, it's 3:02. I
I
want to
accepted 35 from Joseph.
say your name.
Peter?
Peter, 35, Joseph. Right? Got it. Oh, by the way, you can see your utility functions here. Like if you want to know what your utility function is, square root of 100 minus your premium. Autofill. Fine. What's this profit? Oh, profit will be filled in. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, this profit function will correct itself once I put in the probabilities of being sick. Is that everybody? I think that might be everybody.
Okay, is it okay if I switch from Nick to Joe?
Ooh, I don't know if I
I've
should.
negotiated. Joe never responded at the beginning, so now I've negotiated a lower premium with him.
Yeah,
I
we
don't
can
know.
switch. Yeah.
I don't know if I should allow this sort of sniping. I'm sorry. Is this Charlotte?
Yes, it is.
You have some regrets about the high premium, don't you?
A little, yeah.
Yeah, I offer better deals. Not just Joko. We offer.
Let's let the class, because this will be bad for Nick. This will be bad for Nick, and I don't. But it'll be good for Charlotte and bad for Nick. So I don't want to be the one who makes this decision. What is the class thing? Should I let Charlotte do this, or should I say, sorry, you have to take the thing with Nick?
Let me make a counter offer.
Okay.
Wouldn't
Let's say
an
Charlotte.
insurance wouldn't it be a contracted insurance? So isn't there some kind of like bad thing that'll happen if you break that contract? If she's already signed a contract.
I think
It's open
I think,
enrollment.
Yeah,
I think a lot of
okay.
contracts are that way, where you've paid for it and you can't say, actually, no, wait, I don't want to pay for it anymore. You have some time period after which you can change. But that's why I don't know. I apologize to Charlotte. I don't want it to be a situation where you regret. But you know, somebody had to have the highest premium. It happened to be you. I don't think you should feel bad. You're still getting a utility of 7.7, which is, you know, if you're low risk, maybe it's worse because you could have got 8. Why is that? Yeah. Oh, because 100 minus 40 is 60. Square root of 60 is 7.7. Okay. By the way, is this it? Or is there some other people? I wanted to, Jacob McKenzie, Mihak, Tony, Peter. Okay. And then
I did 30 with Joseph.
Who's this?
Camilla.
Camilla, 30, Joseph. Thank you. Okay. I think maybe we're done. Or does anybody else want to do anything? Okay, I haven't been reading the chats. Some of them are not meant to me. Camila, how do you know if you're low risk or high? Sorry, I'm at work. Oh, Camila, I had to tell you. I'm sorry. I don't think I told you. You might not actually count in this game. Okay, I think this is it, and I want to go through and give everyone's high or low risk. So this is going to be very determinative for. It actually doesn't matter for the people who are insured. Once you're insured, you know exactly what your utility is going to be. This really only matters for Joseph and Nick. Okay, so here are the risks. Charlotte was, I'm sorry, Charlotte, you were low risk, but you still get your utility of 7.7. It would have been slightly better for you not to be insured, but I'm apologizing. Tony, you were high, 0.4. Oh, I said 0.1. You know what? This should be 0.2. Sorry, 0.2. Let me do it. Christina was low. Wow, Nick, you're getting a lot of low people. Jacob was high. Jacob was high. Oh no. Philip was low. Oh, Nick, you're getting all the low people. Hala was high. Okay, she's 0.4. Mihawk was low. Somehow she successfully convinced you were low. Peter was high. Or Dorian was low.
My profits are going down the toilet.
Mackenzie was high. Mackenzie was a high risk person. Fablia was a low risk person. Nick, you're going to make tons of money, I predict.
I missed my calling.
Yeah, you're good at judging the risk of clients. Lauren, you were high risk. Sorry about that. You're going to lose some money on her. And that's everything. I don't have anything for Camilla. I don't know what we should treat her as.
Low risk.
What about 0.3? She's right in the middle. Then you don't make any money off of her. I think Joseph, you lost money. You went under a little bit in this game. You got a little unlucky, Joseph. The only person who you made money on was Mihawk, and that was the person with the lowest premium that you offered. Very interesting. So you lose points. You're gonna get a worse grade in this class for participating. No, I'm not gonna punish you like that. But you know, you want to see your sums here. You lost $25 in this whole thing. Pay up. I'll take a check. You mail it to my. Wow, and Nick, wait, what's the secret here? How did you make so much more money, Nick, than Joe did? What? I'm actually really curious here. What's going on?
Well, I figured if there was a 50-50 split in terms of like probability of being either low risk or high risk, then like your break even point would probably be around 0.3. So I tried to negotiate starting between 35 and 37 with everybody. And then if I had to move it down, I would.
Okay, so were either of you guys thinking about what if they're high risk?
Oh, that's why I started off at like between 35 and 40, but I didn't want to lose the customers, so I just lowered my offer.
Yeah. Okay. So, do you guys? Well, first of all, thanks for everybody who participated. I think it went well. It took a while for me to get it started, but once we got started, I think there's an issue here with the people who, let's say, like Charlotte, she felt some regret about this premium. It was too high. And that's actually part of the game. People who have low risk, they shouldn't accept these high premiums because they're just too high. What's the highest they should go? Something like here, 36. Nothing above 36 should ever be accepted by, I said there's two people here, Fabliha and Charlotte. You both accepted a high premium, but that was just on the margin. It wasn't a big mistake. This is actually a form of what's called adverse selection. And the fact is, there are certain premiums that if you offered, the only people who would accept them are the low risk people, right? And one of those is 40. If you offered a premium of 40, the only people who would accept it, if they realized that they could get, I think Charlotte didn't realize, oh, I could just get an insurance payoff of 8 if I don't buy this premium. But if she realized that, and like everyone was like comparing all of the numbers every time they were given an offer, then there would be adverse selection in the market, because adverse selection says you're actually more likely that a high risk person accepts this premium than a low risk person. And certainly at any price above 36, because at a price above 36, you can get 8 for sure by just staying uninsured. And a little bit more is, yeah, like, okay, you kind of negotiate for a lower premium, but you're happy with, you're certainly worse off with anything above 36. So I didn't make the adverse selection bite too much. If I had made it 0.1, it would have been even stronger. It would have been really strong. And I thought, oh, that's too much. I don't want to make it so that the low risk people, none of them participate. So I made it so that the low risk people who were 0.2, they still had some incentive to participate. And in fact, I think everyone did. I should check to see this. Did anybody participate but not choose to get insured? I don't think we had anybody do that. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing. I like that we completed that exercise. I still think there needs to be some more like a debriefing after the fact, like, okay, what happened? And there has to be some math involved. And I would sort of like to postpone that until next class, because it'll give me a chance to sort of break down exactly what happened and maybe show you some graphs or something. But what I would like you to do is, if you can, read these two articles on Blackboard. One's about employer-based health insurance, and the other one's about moral hazard adverse selection. Just so that you're ready to talk about these two concepts. And I will show you in better detail next class whether there was some real effects of adverse selection going on in the market that you just participated in. By the way, did the people who were participating, let's say you were high risk, did you try to disguise that fact? Or like Nick, you said the people with, you could learn something about them by their offers?
I assumed that people who were starting with lower offers were more likely to be low risk.
In the sense that if you're
Someone
high
wants-
risk, it seems far-fetched for you to ask for a low premium.
And you're still going to be better off if you ask for something below whatever, 40 is what it was, I think.
Yeah.
So like, if someone starts me with an offer, 23 or something like that, they're less likely to be high risk than someone who's offering me something closer to 30.
Well, the premiums actually could have been a lot higher even.
They could have, but I don't think anyone was going to bite on. I mean, outside of that one outlier at 40, I think that we had 2 people at 37, but I mean, most of the negotiation was between the 33 to 35 range.
Yeah.
or in the mid lower
Yeah.
30s.
But
seems to be
that's like at a point that's still kind of risky for you as the insurer.
No, I guess that's just a matter of pure chance though, because if they're divided 50-50, then you know, if they're evenly distributed, break even at 30. So if I want to make a profit, then hedging up a little
Remember
bit.
when I was trying to decide how many firms to have, either 2 or 3? I think 2 is the right number. If there had been a third firm, the premiums would have gone probably even lower and you guys would have lost even more money. So I think what happened here is the firms, Nick and Joseph, you were competing with each other so much for customers that the prices went way down. Actually, I think they went lower than I thought they were going to go. Because if you think about it, somebody with a low risk person is better off paying a premium all the way up to 64, right? You could have offered a premium of, let's say, 50, and the low risk people should accept it, right?
I assumed that Joseph would undercut offers that were that high though.
Right, but let's say, okay, so let's say Nick, you were a monopoly. There was no Joseph. You could offer a premium of 50 and somebody who was low risk should still accept it. The reason is 100 minus 50 is 50. The square root of that is above 7. And if they don't get insurance, they get a utility of 6. So 7 is better than 6. So I think maybe I didn't really emphasize this enough, that because the utility function is the square root, it's really, really good for people to be insured. And if you're a high risk person, you will pay all the way up to $64 just to make sure you get that insurance. And that could have pushed the premiums up a lot. And that's where the adverse selection would have really mattered. As it turns out, the premiums were around 20 and 30, in the 20s and 30s. And in that case, the adverse selection doesn't matter so much because both sides will accept. But if the premiums had gone above 40, that's when adverse selection would have been more interesting. We'll talk about it next class, though. Thank you guys for participating. Hope you can read those 2 things. And unless you have any questions, I'll see you on Thursday.
Thanks, Professor.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Yeah, have a good day.